शलाकया गुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। भूतेर्महद्भिर्यमा पुरो विभो निर्मायशेते यदमुषु पूरुषा। भूते गुणान् षोडश षोडशात्मका सोलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे। श्री कृष्ण शरणं शरणागतं कथामृतं सततपीडितं भक्ति वेदांत मार्गपन्थनं सर्वलोक ऋषिदेव जन्म प्रसन्नं सर्वलोक ऋषिदेव जन्म प्रसन्नं। Hare Krishna, dear Prabhus and Mataji's. Hope you all had a wonderful Gaura Purnima and got inspiration and took some resolutions to expedite our devotional service and had some specific goals in mind of chanting extra rounds or chanting, improving the quality of our chanting. Yesterday, as you know, His Grace Sakirai Prabhu at the Hare Krishna Building Temple very nicely did the Gaura Lila, Gaura Katha, and the essential philosophical points he was mentioning is stated very much in these chapters of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that we are covering now. Firstly, Aradhe Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas. Vrajesha Tanayas, the son of the king of Vraja, Shri Krishna. He is Aradhe, the supremely most worshipful Lord. And Tadhama Vrindavanam, the super excellent abode, is that Dhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kvachitupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Va Kalpita. And the worship of gopis, the surrender, the selfless devotional service without caring for themselves, their honor, their pride, only caring for Krishna and only wanting to serve Krishna. That is the only prerogative of the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. And what is the proof of all this? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam pramanamamalam. Pramana. The proof is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is spotless Purana, Amalam. Previous scriptures, they contained some sense of mala or impurities in it. But Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the only scripture which is without any dint of dirt in it. Therefore, this scripture will not cheat us. This scripture will lead us to the path of supreme destination, Tadhama Vrindavanam. So, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is synonymous to the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, if we look carefully, the introduction to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, what does Srila Prabhupada do? Anyone? What does Srila Prabhupada speak about in introduction to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Has everyone read Introduction to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Anyone? Yesterday was Ekadashi Prashadam, so I thought everyone should be nice and awake. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam introduction that Srila Prabhupada writes, he contains the life history and the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the introduction. If you read the introduction again, and when I first read the introduction, and then started reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I was wondering why the life depiction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But then, as with time goes on, we can understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the greatest Bhagavata, because he lives a life of a devotee, although his Supreme Lord, to set an example, to live life, to how to live life as a perfect Bhagavata. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada gives his life history in the introduction to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And here we see Nārada Muni in this 5th chapter of 1st canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, when he's instructing Vyasadeva, he is actually pointing out the 2 defects of Vyasadeva's previous writings in all the scriptures. So what were the 2 defects we discussed? We want to emphasize these points again and again. Anyone? The first defect? Has everyone got the rights to unmute themselves and speak?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
The first defect is that he was emphasizing on the Purushartha, 4 Purushartha. And the second one, I'm not sure, Prabhu. Is it? But he considered only as a body and mind, not as a soul.
So the 2 defects, Nārada Muni gives is the body and the mind soul you mentioned. He sarcastically mentions it before these 2 defects, because the 4 Purusharthas actually relate to identification of body and the mind. The 4 Purusharthas are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So in short, religiosity is only used as a means to fulfill our own material desires. And for fulfilling material desires, we need money. And therefore, religion is for that purpose. In pseudo sense, that's not true religion. And because it's not true religion, it will not satisfy us. And when we get frustrated, we reject everything, including the personality feature of the Supreme Lord, thinking that all forms have troubled me in this life, so the Supreme Lord must not have the form. And therefore, the liberation also is defied. Kevalya naraka yahayate. It is for devotee. Kevalya mukti is like naraka. And the second defect is that he did not glorify emphatically, consistently, and enough the glorious name, form, pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So these 2 points we always have to take count of. Is our path of spiritualism tainted by these 4 Purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha? And second, are we enough glorifying Krishna? Are we every day, anudinam, consistently glorifying Krishna, chanting his names? And are we surrendering, or in the process, are we in the process of surrendering to Krishna exclusively? And that will save us from all the troubles of fruitive activities and the speculative endeavors. So the translation of the verses that we did. So has anyone memorized already Nayad Vachas Chitra Padam Hare Yasho, the text of 10? Anyone would like to sing?
Hare Krishna Guru, I've memorized, but it's not very fluent, so I'll read and recite it. Is that okay?
No, please try, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah. Nayad Vachaschitra Padam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pragrinita Karhichit Tadvayasam Tirtham Mushanti Manasa Nayad Rahamsa Nirmanti Ushikshaya.
Hare Krishna, very good, Mataji. Such a wonderful verse. Without wasting time, Nārada Muni just points out Nayad Vachas. As long as our vacha, our words, Chitrapadam Hare Yasho, does not glorify the Yasha, the glories of Supreme Lord Hari, who has the power, the glorification has the power to Jagat Pavitram, purify the whole material atmosphere, Praganita Karajit. Then, if we don't do and use the faculty of our words to glorify Krishna, then Tadvayasam Tirthamushanti Manasa. Then we are compared to be crows. And our residence is in a place of pilgrim of rubbish dump, where we eat rubbish and we speak rubbish. However, we should be like swans. Swans can extract Krishna from anywhere, because anywhere and everywhere they go, they just glorify Krishna. And the next verse, has anyone memorized the next verse? Tadavad Visargo. Or anyone would like to recite it, even with looking, that's fine.
I can do that.
Yes, Mataji.
Tadvag visargo janatanga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhadda vati api namani anantasya yasho niknani yat shranvanti gayanti granati sadhava.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So while we're reciting, just a few pointers on the pronunciation. So here, we say in the second line, Yasmin prati shlokam abadhat vatyapi. So we don't say vati api, it's actually tya. So it becomes abadhavatyapi. And similarly, in the next line, we don't say namani anantasya, we say namanyanantasya yashon kitani. So yasho, and then we don't say ankitani separately, we say yashon kitani, and that's how it will flow nicely, and it will be easier to memorize as well. Some basic rules of the grammar. So in this verse, Nārada Muni is saying that on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is different creation full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by the purified men who are thoroughly honest. Again, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse in his preface to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, basically in a very humble attitude, stating that there may be imperfections in his composition, translation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but nonetheless, it is a humble attempt, and therefore, he requests people to accept it. And the results we see, those who reach Srila Prabhupada's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, their life transforms. My Grace Bhavami Mataji was sharing, her realizations. Bhavami Mataji, would you like to, tell about, in regards to the various literatures that you have read, especially in pursuit of your studies, and then when you came across this verse, what your realizations were?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, before I got married, I was preparing for an exam called Civil Services in India. In that exam, there are various subjects we have to choose. Some are compulsory. One of them was current affairs. So you can be asked questions around current affairs, the current events that are happening the past few years, around the country, your local area, the world, different countries. So to stay up to date with current affairs, we have to read so many newspapers. So I used to read about 5 newspapers in different languages, some in my local language, Gujarati, some Hindi, some English, And I used to watch so many news, and there can be questions from sports, history, and there are different subjects. So another subject was I chose was history. So for that, you have to prepare anything under the sun. For history, you can be asked. So world history, local history, the religions history, different countries history. So when I came to Australia, when I was speaking to some people and I used to tell them about history of Australia, they were surprised how I know, because they didn't know themselves, but I had to study all that. So in preparation for all these, and there were few other subjects as well. So in preparation for all these, I used to read a lot. I used to spend so much time in library, so many hours. And that too was on top of my normal graduation study and my postgraduate study. So I used to read a lot. So now reading Bhagavatam, I don't spend that much time that I used to spend. But in that short time that I spent reading Bhagavatam, I derive so much pleasure and bliss, and it's so much meaningful, and it brings real change in my consciousness and my life and the life of people around me, and even in my extended circle. So when I was reading these words and trying to memorize it, I felt all those years I spent studying all those literature, they were like the Vasayam Tirtham, the crows, the place of pilgrimage for the crows. And yes, now when I read Bhagavatam, I realize that this is what the Hamsas choose. So yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
No, thank you so much, Mataji. Such nice realization, especially from you who have read so many subject matters. As you said, in preparation of your UPS exams, and those who undergo those studies, if devotees, especially coming from India, they can understand it's basically so vast subject matters you have to read and memorize and have a recollection of. But this is a perfect example, Mataji's example, that even after you've read everything, ultimately, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's statement that if all the books in the world were burnt and if only Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam remained, there would be no loss. And really, as I was explaining on Sunday, I was a bit different. I could never read any other books. Even my literature books for year 12, I actually saw the movies and I just passed the exams like that. But somehow or the other, when I came across Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I could not put it down. Even though I was very slow reader, but I could not put it down. So this is Srila Prabhupada's effect of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And it will not only grab our attention, it will give us satisfaction, it will give us bliss, it will give us nice direction in life, it will improve our temperament. Anything that happens, we will have an attitude of true blue Aussies, actually, no worries. Because one who studies Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and one who reads the history of various personalities of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they will come in terms that nothing in this world can touch us if we only surrender to Krishna, if we only follow the instructions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And this is what Nārada Muni is diagnosing to Vyasadeva, that your fault lied, that you did not emphasize the glorification of Krishna, and you overemphasized the Chatura Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we know he gives Pancha Purushartha, the fifth Purushartha, which is the perfection of life, which is Prema Pumartho Mahan, which is the prem, loving, selfless, uninterrupted, without any gap, unreserved devotional service onto Sri Krishna. Let's go on to text number 12. Nishkarmyamapyuchyata na shobhate gnanamalam niranjanam kutah punah shashvata bhadram ishvare na charpite karma tadapyakaranam. Translation: knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all conceptions, even free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible Lord. So what this basically means is knowledge of self-realization without the conception of Lord, personality of Lord. Like people say, we want Ram Rajya, but Ram we don't want. We want to live like Krishna, but Krishna we don't want. So similarly, spiritualism without personalism and personal worship of God has no meaning. That's voidness, that's impersonal. So it may sound good. So we have various spiritual commentators that you see. You open YouTube, you open Facebook, they will give great spiritual discourses. But in those spiritual discourses, there's no mention of Krishna at all. And when there's no mention of Krishna at all that is zero. It has no meaning. It will rather only agitate the mind, as one of the verses we'll be discussing, I think the 4th or the 5th in the series will say. So if we really want to live a true spiritual life, then it cannot be devoid of a conception of infallible Lord, Achyuta. Very nicely it is said here, Achyuta Bhava Varjitam. Achyuta means Krishna, who doesn't fail. And to have a bhava, bhava means emotions saturated with love, bhava bhakti. And Varjitam means devout. Without conception of supreme personality of Godhead, Achyuta Bhava Varjitam, spiritualism has no meaning. Spiritualism, we haven't even started without the personality conception of the Supreme Lord. And then leaving that aside, then what to speak of? Kutah punah shashvat abhadram ishvare nachar pitam karma yad apyakaranam. Then what is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by the nature if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? So if we look at this verse carefully, the two faults that Nārada Muni diagnoses of Vyasadeva, firstly, that he did not enough glorify and consistently, emphatically glorify Supreme Lord Krishna. That's in the first line. He gave spiritual knowledge, but devoid of conception of infallible Lord. Basically, Achyuta Bhava Varjitam. He did not mention Achyuta as consistently and as emphatically as he should have. The second fault is in the second line. He overemphasized on fruitive activities through Chatura Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And from the very beginning, this will be, is troublesome because you have to endeavor hard and hard and hard. But at the end of the day, what? Vifale se vinu kripana durajana. Govindas Thakur says, Vifala. Vifala means you worked hard, at the end, zero, no result, Vifala. Sevinu Kripana Durajan. And we served so many personalities in our lives, but all of them Durjan, useless people, because at the time when we need them, when we are on our deathbed, we need them to remind us of Krishna, they're not there, because we ourselves have not cultivated Krishna consciousness. Chapala Sukala Valagire. For flickering happiness, we take to the Vedas on the principles of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, but it's suicidal. So this is verily condemned. Would anyone like to read the paper of this verse, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can.
Please, Mataji. Yes.
As referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculations on the subject of impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of devotional service. When speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of the ordinary fruitive work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service? Such speculative knowledge and fruitive work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruitive work, in which almost all people in general are engaged, is always painful either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, also it is confirmed that the result of the fruitive work may be offered to the service of the Lord. Otherwise, it leads to material bondage. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of God. And thus, when the results of such work are engaged in the sense gratification of the living being, those results become acute sources of trouble for such false enjoyer.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So very nice. Srila Prabhupada again brings in the purity, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, emphasizing, the bona fide enjoyer of fruitive work is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the only enjoyer. And thus, when it is engaged for the sense gratification of living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. So previously we see here Srila Prabhupada mentioning that, okay, Naishkarmam, we cannot be, like overnight, we cannot give up work. However, we can offer everything to Krishna. As we are looking at the verse from Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gīta, Krishna says, Yat karoshi, whatever you do, yadashnasi, whatever you eat, of course, vegetarian food, pure food, sattvic food, yadashnasi, yad juhoshi dadasiya, whatever sacrifices you do, yat tapasyasi kauntaya, O Arjuna, whatever austerities you perform, tat kurushva mad arpanam, may do it as an offering unto me. We have very nice word in our culture, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Everything is to be offered to Krishna. So by doing so, what happens? Shubha Shubha Phalereva. The inauspicious and auspicious phala results of that word, moksha se karma bandhane, we become free from it. True freedom is offering to Krishna. Shubha Shubha Phalereva, moksha se karma bandhane. From that karma bandhan, we become free. And this is in actual sannyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upeshyasi. Those who worship Krishna, mam upeshyasi, in this way, sannyasa yoga yuktatma, they actually are living in the principle of renunciation. Vimukto, they actually are free. When we give to Krishna, we become free. So all endeavors should be made for the satisfaction of Krishna. As you mentioned at the start, it may be the case that, okay, I want to eat something. So we make it and we offer to Krishna. But the prime object still is us. But still, we making an endeavor and we do it every day like that. Then there will come a time when we will feel like, I want to just cook for pleasure of Krishna. Let me feed just Krishna. And we become a subservient to desire of Krishna. And this is what Prabhupada in the last line is pointing out, that if we don't come to that stage, then it becomes an acute source of trouble for us. So our offering even should be what actually Krishna wants from us. Thank you so much, Prabhus and Matajis. Let's try to memorize these verses, and we'll continue tomorrow again. So those devotees can volunteer who would like to recite at the start. Jai Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.